G'day there guys, it's your Aussie Hubby Markee, back at it again with another r/legal advice video. Now with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some bloody good legal advice. Our first post today is by user Alexander Tushkin, titled, "New neighbors moved into Habitat for Humanity house next door yesterday. Today they came over to request our permission to start building a fence. Today. The family literally just signed papers for the house yesterday, and they came over just a few minutes ago to ask if it's okay for them to put up a fence between our houses, starting today. We said we don't know where exactly the property line is, but we've been planning to get estimates for a fence soon ourselves. The woman said it's her father who wants to start it right now, and suggested that they just build exactly between our houses. We're in an urban area with narrow lots, so there's not a lot of room to spare. Another wrinkle is that they have immigrated from another country and English is not their first language, and maybe there are some cultural differences, personal property. We want to be on good terms and welcoming towards our new neighbours, but we're at a loss for how to respond to this sudden, kinda huge request." And Carthago Deladenta Est says, "Sounds like you were worried telling them to wait for a survey will make them mad. You could try explaining to them that if they put up with it without going through the village / whatever and following the process, and it doesn't meet code, they'll have to take it down. If you can say it so it sounds like you're on their side, but that it'll be a huge expense to them, it might help. And it has the added benefit of probably being true. Fences are visible from the exterior, so it doesn't have to be an official complaint from you, just the expectors noticing the work having been done. My parents have a fence in their backyard, and left a foot of space between the edge of their fence and their property line for drainage, which the city told them they had to do. Neighbors start to build a fence by nailing their fence to my dad's fence, so my dad told them about the property line, and they just sort of shrugged it off and kept going. My dad started taking their fence down as they were putting it up, and the cops got involved. Cops can't do anything because it's a code enforcement. My parents ended up having to pay for a survey to prove the property line, and then if the neighbors had persisted, then they would have to go to court over the issue. I guess what I'm getting at is I'd try to keep it civil, but you may have to do some footwork. I want to say when a house is bought, they have to do a survey, but that could change from place to place. If you let them build and do nothing, you are surrendering that land to them, and if they have a survey done years down the road, the city may change the plot coordinates to reflect it. And Ork says, "Don't forget to have utilities marked. They could cut a gas, water, or electric line if they don't have them marked. +1 for this. They need to contact one call to have utilities marked and get a permit from your county for the fence. Every county has different laws regarding fence placement." Not a lawyer, but I'm unsure if Habitat for Humanity will allow them to do this. At least in my area, they own the homes until the family meets certain criteria. Financial counseling, proof of income, a certain number of payments. They may not be allowed to make changes to the property until they fully own it. That's how our local H4H works. Maybe talk to them about it. They may also have a survey from when they built the home. Not a lawyer. Be firm on your request to get a survey before anything goes in the ground. Even better if you can get it in writing. Text, email, or something. I know you don't want to spoil a new neighbor relationship, but the headaches and cost later down the road are not worth being polite about something like this. We had a new neighbor build a fence 2 feet on our property. They didn't even ask us where the line was, or try to find out. They just guessed and went for it. And then they refused to move it when we showed them the original iron boundary pins. We've spent several years and about $5,000 so far litigating for this stupid fence removal so we can sell our houses without issues. That's fairly cheap compared to others with similar property boundary issues from what I gather. I wouldn't mess around with what is normally your largest asset, your home. So I'm a real estate attorney, but not your attorney. In these types of situations, I advise people to check public survey records for general lot line locations and corner markers. This should give you a rough idea about boundaries. Then you check your local building and zoning code for fence permit process and regulations. You're absolutely right, the fence could be forcibly removed, although hopefully the city could just let it be fixed, if non-permitted but up to code. I would definitely relay this to your neighbor, at least verbally, but also possibly in writing. I also happen to be part of the leadership of a Habitat for Humanity affiliate. Habitat typically deeds the property to the owners, but holds a first and second mortgage. First mortgage gets paid by homeowner, yes they actually pay, and second is forgiven over time. I know most people would assume a mortgage holder wouldn't want to get involved, but a lot of Habitat affiliates are self-conscious about their builds. They want their houses and the partner families to get along with the neighborhood. If there is a language barrier issue after you've explained your concern, then maybe it's someone at Habitat could be a bridge. There should be someone at the local affiliate who works with the partner families, who I'm positive knows your neighbors very well. Update. New neighbors moved into Habitat for Humanity house next door yesterday. Today they came over to request our permission to start building the fence today. I posted a month ago about our brand new neighbors wanting our permission to put a fence exactly between our houses. We ended up telling them that they really need to get a property survey done first, since they don't know where exactly the property lines are. It was a little difficult to communicate this well, since there's a language barrier, but eventually they understood and agreed to wait. Since they didn't know how to proceed, and were planning to do a property survey ourselves soon, we offered to research and get quotes and schedule surveys for both our properties to be done at the same time. Well, it's a good thing we did push for the property survey, because we discovered, after living here for almost 13 years, that there's actually a separate 10-foot wide lot between our houses that's owned by someone else entirely. The survey said, as far as he can tell, when Habitat bought the then abandoned house next to us, they either declined to buy the adjacent 10-foot lot that was tied to it, or somehow they weren't aware of it. In any case, that 10-foot lot then went up in a tax sale that they were never notified of, and it was bought by some guy for about $500. So now we have to go through the process of contacting this guy and seeing what he's going to ask for this inconvenient gap between our houses. Our next post is by user Bike and the Mechanics, titled, "Was injured in a motorbike accident, driver cut me off. She's considered at fault. However, I don't think she should be because I was being stupid and careless. Is there a way I can help her case so she won't be in too much trouble? Texas." Okay, I'm aware that this is a weird question, but please bear with me. I hope I'm making myself clear, but I'm typing this from a hospital bed, and I'm tired, so please excuse me if that's not the case. I own a motorbike. It is, rather was, my primary means of transportation and a hobby. In the last few years, a series of traumatic events in my life brought me to the conclusion that it was my time to end it all. I was into the habit of riding my bike on empty roads to relax, enjoying the speeds and the loneliness. That night, I decided to ride my bike as fast as I could and find a wall, a bridge pillar, or something to slam into, so that I would die doing what I liked best and my loved ones wouldn't know it was suicide. If that doesn't make sense, I'm sorry. I know how stupid that sounds. It's not an excuse, but I wasn't in the best mental state. Anyway, I was riding like 160 miles per hour on a straight and deserted stretch of road, when a truck got out of the side road and cut me off. I hadn't seen them and didn't have time to react. I slammed very hard into the side of the truck. Obviously, I didn't die. So much for my so well-devised plan, although I suffered serious injuries. Coma, countless broken bones, internal injuries, and so on. I lost consciousness and have no memory of what happened for a few days after the accident. This is what I was told happened. A woman was driving the truck. Her teenage daughter was in the passenger seat. Thankfully, they weren't injured in the accident. I was going very fast and downhill. It was dark, they couldn't see me, and thought it was safe to go. They stayed on the scene and were the ones to call 911. It's a place where I've been before. I definitely believe they couldn't see me. I've been told since the other driver failed to yield, she's at fault. Soon I'm going to be interviewed by the police to give my version of the events. I'm going to admit that I was speeding. I feel like crap because the woman who was driving the truck is going to have tons of problems because of the accident. In my plan, I hadn't thought that I would crash with someone else involved. I know, how stupid it is, I know. I had chosen a road where I was certain I would be alone at that time of the night. Now I've dragged an innocent family into my crap show of a life, and I want to make up for this as much as possible. I have many questions. 1. What can I tell the police so this lady suffers as few consequences as possible? I know it's my fault. They couldn't have seen me and my speed made it impossible to brake in time. I don't think she should be at fault. Would me testifying that she couldn't possibly have seen me help her case? 2. What happens after I admit to speeding? I suppose my license will be suspended, but will there be other legal consequences? I wasn't drunk or on drugs if that matters. 3. I want to apologize to this family for the trouble they're facing. Can I do that? Thanks for your help. Ferryman says, most people here would say get a lawyer and transmit your information this way. Speaking with police could not only put liability on yourself, but also criminal repercussions. If you're insisting on doing this, just tell the truth. You were significantly speeding. With that information, the police will likely realize they were not at fault, or if they are still at fault, it will at least be determined with all the information. Do you know what criminal repercussions there could be? You could be charged with reckless driving for going that fast, which is a misdemeanor that could have you serving jail time. Okay, I get it. However, I did it for real. What are you suggesting I do? Maybe just say I don't know how fast I was going? I don't want to lie though. I'm not sure they can prove how fast I was going, but maybe they can. I suggest you get a lawyer. If you lie and they find out you lied, it will only get worse for you. I know, and I don't want to lie. I want to face my responsibilities and not make it worse for the lady who was driving the truck. Get a lawyer to navigate this. You can still do right by the lady and avoid jail, fines, or other punitive measures that you are opening yourself up to by not discussing this with counsel first. Yes, I think that's what I'm going to do. You would likely seriously benefit from speaking with a lawyer on this topic. They can help you make an informed decision that doesn't turn a set of mistakes into a bigger set of mistakes. Especially if you have suicidal tendencies. It is important not to make your situation worse for yourself. Please take time to speak with a lawyer, not to lie or get other people into trouble, but to navigate this in a way that does as little damage to everyone as possible. Update to post about motorbike accident. Thank you r/LegalAdvice for convincing me to not talk to the police without a lawyer. Quick update to my post from 3 months ago. Thank you very much for convincing me not to talk to the police without a lawyer. I was not doing well and not thinking clearly, and would absolutely have incriminated myself and likely ended up in jail. My lawyer was able to negotiate a great outcome. The lady who was driving the truck that cut me off will not be charged with anything, which is what I wanted, so it's great news. They recognized she couldn't have seen me. I've been able to write her a letter of apology. As for me, let's say I won't be driving anything for quite some time, but that was to be expected. It'll be a long time before I am physically able to do it anyway. I'm aware that the legal consequences could have been a lot worse, so I'm not complaining. The insurance companies are still doing their thing. I'm doing better now, staying at a rehab facility, and learning to walk again and everything. Thank you very much again. You people stopped me from making a life-changing mistake. Edit, thanks for the gold. That's very generous. I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I feel like I don't deserve it. Please, if you feel like sending money on me, you can make a donation on your local homeless shelter instead. They have it even harder than usual because of the pandemic. Edit 2, people have been asking, so I just wanted to say that I'm getting therapy to deal with depression and my suicidal ideas, and I'm doing better on that front too. Thanks for caring. Posted by user Hello Old Tenant, titled Philadelphia, PA. Just move into new house. Previous tenant used extra key to rob me. Is landlord responsible? I just moved into a new house this weekend in Philadelphia, PA. Yesterday, after finishing moving in, I went out to celebrate. While I was gone, the previous tenant let himself into my house and took about $500 worth of items. I have a nicer older neighbor who sits outside a lot, so I asked if she had seen anyone come into the house while I was out. She said the guy who used to live here came by shortly after I left, was friendly and said hello to her, and told her he was just picking a few things up that he had forgot. She assumed this was all cleared with me, since he was so open and friendly, so she didn't think anything of it. My question is, whether the landlord is responsible for not securing the house. Is it enough for him to just collect the keys that he gave from the previous tenant? There would be no way of knowing whether they made copies. Are landlords required to rekey or install new locks between each tenant? I do not feel comfortable knowing that at least one person, possibly more, has the key to my house and is willing to use it to rob me. I have already sent an email to the landlord requesting that he rekey the lock immediately. I'm also wondering if the landlord is retroactively responsible for the items that were stolen from me since he failed to secure the house. It was $200 cash and a laptop worth about $300. I don't have a TV yet, and I had my phone with me, so there wasn't anything else valuable for him to steal. I do have renter's insurance, but the deductible is $500, so I'm not going to file a claim. File a police report and sue the thief. If the landlord won't change your lock, change the lock yourself and send your landlord the bill. Filing a police report, even if you don't get satisfaction, suing the guy, he was a thief, right? Worthy enough of a police report, especially since there was a witness. After changing the lock, give the landlord a copy of the key. You can't lock the owner out of the property. Call the police and report him, then sue him to get the prosecutor to push for the guy to make you whole. You have a pretty solid case. That said, you can try to get the LL to change the lock. You can probably also sue for extra on top of that, like emotional sufferings or damages if you had anything important on that laptop, like your taxes, bill receipts, your thesis, whatever. Also, if you had any fragile information on there, like identity theft kind of stuff, you might want to freeze your credit. No, your claim is against the person who stole your items. You need to file a police report and either see if you can get damages through the criminal case or sue him for the cost of your items. Landlord has no duty to make a new set of keys and locks every time someone moves in or out. Careful how you answer. Some cities and states do require landlords to rekey locks between tenants, and landlords have been found liable for burglaries and assaults committed by former tenants with retained keys, even outside those areas. OP wouldn't be likely to win, but it's not nearly as black and white as you assert. I answered as such because Philadelphia land law/tenant law only says that landlord has a duty to provide a functioning deadbolt for exterior doors and keys for interior locking doors. Nothing about a duty to change. Thank you. Do you happen to know where I can find that specific law? I've searched for landlord-tenant law at Philadelphia and haven't found anything specifically pertaining to this. I suppose the lack of any laws means they are not required to do it. I'm concerned now because I do not feel safe staying in the house without the locks being changed. If the landlord refuses to pay to rekey it, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I obviously can't stay in a house that a proven thief has a key to and has no issue using. Many locks can be easily and inexpensively rekeyed if you remove them yourself and take them to a locksmith. Usually just a couple screws to undo them from the inside. Maybe take a couple of pictures first and take them to a locksmith to make sure he can do it. Update. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, just moved into a new house. Previous tenant used extra key to rob me. Is landlord responsible? My landlord called me after reading my email. He was really shocked that the previous tenant did this. Said the guy didn't have any criminal background and wasn't shady or anything. Whether that's true or not, I don't really care, because my landlord is awesome and made everything right. He's coming over tonight to install a completely new doorknob and deadbolt set, and said he plans to have a locksmith rekey it between tenants from now on. He went to the old tenant's new apartment and confronted him. The guy claimed he thought it was his, and it was an honest mistake, and gave it back to my landlord. I call bullcrap, because the house was completely empty when I moved in. This dude knew he didn't leave anything behind, but whatever. The guy apparently also said he didn't take any cash, but my landlord told me to just take $200 off the rent next month because he feels partly responsible for not changing the locks and doesn't want me to feel crappy about my new place right off the bat. Now, I told all of this to a friend at work, who thinks the landlord was in on it and is just trying to fix it now so I don't report it. He thinks it's too good to be true, that the landlord could get the laptop back that quickly and then be so generous to just give me $200 of his own money. My friend is kind of paranoid, so I'm taking that with a grain of salt. Maybe he's right, but my gut says that this was just a crappy tenant and a good landlord taking a small financial hit in order to have a happy tenant. I'm really happy with how everything turned out. I will be setting up a little hunting camera pointing at my front door so that if the landlord does end up being shady, I'll catch it if he comes in or anything. But for now, I'm going to trust my gut and believe he's a good dude. Thanks everyone for all your advice. I learned a lot. Alright, I think that's where I'm going to leave today's episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one of r/legal advice. Tell me what you would do in these circumstances down in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Storyhawk. That's that hawk on the screen there. Just click that one and watch some of his videos. Hope you guys have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you later. Bye.